Afternoon, everybody. I wanted to share with you guys some recent things that have just kind of popped up into my office and talk to you a little bit about how we've dealt with them here. And this first one I'm going to show you is probably one of the greatest opportunities in our business that I think that we have. And I know everybody out there is selling a ton of annuities, and I know that the business is going well and all that stuff is great, but there's a real opportunity here. What this article was, I just made a copy of it. This is from the Washington Post today. And my client literally this morning came into my office and dropped this on my desk. And what this basically says is that this is the Federal Long-Term Care Insurance Program. And this is the one that's underwritten by John Hancock. And just to give you a little bit of background, the federal employees, they all have a long-term care program they can enroll in. It is no different for these federal employees to get long-term care insurance through the federal government as it would be for them to apply separately. So the two companies that originally started this long-term care program are MetLife and John Hancock. 20 years ago or something they started it. And the couple that came into my office just now, the wife has this federal long-term care insurance through John Hancock. The husband has Genworth. And what they basically said to me was the husband has dementia. And he's been diagnosed, and he is in his mid-70s, and it's scared the living heck out of them. And so most of us have clients or family members or acquaintances that are starting to realize that this onset of dementia and Alzheimer's thing is becoming more common. And I will also share with you that a week ago, my best client, when I say my best client, he's not only my best client because he's got the most assets and insurance with me, but also because of his friendship. He called me and said, I'm going to retire in 12 days because I just got diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And, you know, because of the volume of business that our office does, we're running into so many things, but the real increase in activity that we've seen has been with people getting sick, people getting Alzheimer's, people getting dementia, and all these other kinds of things. It is the single greatest concern for retired people in this country is this increased health risk. So whether the guy has Genworth or whether they have John Hancock or whoever for long-term care, I think most people understand the risk associated with long-term care and not having it. I did pull up a website. I don't know, see if I still have it on here. Yep, I do. I pulled up a website for my clients because they had some questions, so I said, let's just take a look at some of these numbers and figure out what our likelihood of needing this long-term care is. And the main thing, this is there's a bunch of statistics on here, but the main thing that I was looking for was the average length of stay right here for current nursing home residents is 2.44 years. Now, in that number, it can be a little bit misleading because there's a lot of stuff going on in this number, but for people to understand that what is the likelihood of one of you, if you're a couple, needing long-term care? What is the likelihood, it says right here, percentage of nursing home patients who will be discharged to go home or to go to another setting. And then it says here, the percentage of people who entered a nursing home who died within 1 year of admission. So this is a huge statistic, guys. 2/3 of people who enter into a nursing home die within 1 year. So what that means is that is a little bit less scary than a lot of people think, because what I was faced with today was, should I pay over double what I was paying for my long-term insurance to keep my current level of benefit? And it'll say right here, federal employees and retirees who participate in the long-term care program, FLTCIP, are in some serious sticker shock. This is John Hancock who's doing this, and John Hancock has a massive presence in our area, right? The insurance increases that they're going to see as of November 1st of this year will jump by as much as 126%. The average increase will be 83%. I promise you guys, if the federal government is doing this, everybody else is going to be getting the same stuff. Because they have to do it by block of business. They have got to increase by block of business. I'm sure the federal government is the largest block of business that any company will have. But when you have these associations that buy long-term care like AARP or some of them even buy through AAA or whatever these other organizations are, these massive groups of people are going to be getting hikes like they have never seen before. And so my client is 67 years old. Her husband is she's 67. Her husband is in his mid-70s. She is scared to death. She says, I don't know what to do. They're telling me that my premium is going to double, and I don't know what to do. And I said to her, well, first of all, this isn't the last time that this is going to happen to you. So she's only had this policy for 10 years. I said, if you live another 20-plus years, and she probably will because she's healthy, I would fully expect there to be additional either price increases or reduction of benefits. And people don't like that, especially since whether they bought it themselves or whether they bought it through the federal government or through their association or group, most people have no idea that these price increases are even possible. For the longest time, Genworth was the last holdout for long-term care price increases. And they went and they increased everybody's rates pretty much by 30%, which again could be potentially the first of many. So we know that this problem exists. We know that people are scared to heck about it. We always identify the problem, long-term care costs in our area. She was saying to me that she thinks that long-term care right now is a minimum of $100,000 per year. So I said to her, here's the issue. You're 67. Let's bring you to 87. And at a 5% rate of increase, which is low, very low, for long-term care increased expenses, 1 year worth of care when you're 87 will be $265,000. So having long-term care insurance may be the right thing. I didn't tell her to cancel it. I didn't tell her to replace it. I said, you're going to need a supplement. And the supplement you're going to need and the supplement you're going to want is going to be something so that if you use the long-term care, right, if you fall into this category of needing long-term care and you need it for a short period of time, meaning 3 to 5 years or less, then this long-term care policy that you have will cover it. If you need it for longer than that or your care costs more than you expect, then we will be able to have a supplement in place so that you can use that. If, however, you don't end up using the long-term care and you fall under the category, it says right here, 40% of individuals will enter a nursing home during their life. Well, that means, guess what? 60% will not. Right? So if you fall under the 60% of people who will not go into a nursing home, you can't recover any of those premiums. So if we're going to get a supplemental policy, we want to get something that if you don't end up using it, either you while you're alive because you live a long time or your spouse or your kids ends up getting all your money back, plus interest, tax-free. How does that sound? That's a no-brainer, guys, right? And we all know what that is. And I'll show you an example of it. But, before I show people insurance, we have to identify the problem. And this is why we go through things in this particular order. So we go through the problem, hey, long-term care is real, the expenses are real. If you need to use them, you got to have some type of coverage. That's the first part. The second part is the likelihood of them using it, and the traditional insurance may not fit the bill. If somebody doesn't have long-term care if they don't have long-term care insurance right now, I'm probably not going to sell them a standalone policy. And I sure as heck are not going to tell them, oh, you can get a long-term care and confinement rider on your annuity and give you long-term care benefit, because that doesn't do anything for them. It's the same daggone thing as an income rider. It just lets them spend more of their own money. Who the heck cares? And it costs them, well, it doesn't cost them necessarily, but it definitely doesn't leave money behind for their spouse. How can these particular clients have their cake and eat it too? The only way they can have their cake and eat it too is with life insurance. Okay? I can show you a couple examples. The simplest example, and I always go to this example, guys. You've seen it before. You're going to see it again. I always show people the single pay. Why do I show them the single pay? because it shows them the immediate benefit. I've had clients come in that have done research, that have been engineers, that have been doctors, and they hate life insurance, they hate long-term care. They don't want to have anything to do with any of it. They just don't. But when I show them this, their immediate reaction is, why on earth would I not do this? So I'm not going to sell, nor do I often sell lump sum single premium life insurance policies. This is Mutual Trust, the Covenant 2, the flagship product. The reason why I show this is because this is such a simple example of how insurance works. Guess what? You can edit this and put your own name in here. Your name, your phone number, personalize it. This is completely compliance approved. Use at point of sale with a client. Right now, though, I'm just trying to get the person to agree to go through medical underwriting. This may be used for somebody who's definitely afraid of long-term care, or this may be used for somebody who doesn't want to pay this increase in long-term care insurance that they currently have. If you had $100,000, and I'll describe this to people as, hey, you put $100,000 into a policy, and if you die, you get $234,000. That's fine, right? If, however, if you become confined to a nursing home or need substantial assistance with 2 out of 5 ADLs in your home, then the death benefit, a substantial portion of this death benefit, can be accessed and used for long-term care. Or you change your mind when you're 63 years old and you say, to heck with it, give me my $100,000 back. And I say, well, you can't have your $100,000 back. You can have $104,500 back. Oh my gosh, there's no loose scenario. There's no loose scenario here. This is the simplest way to explain how life insurance works. And by the way, this is pretty much only available through mutual companies. This type of guaranteed everything. You see the word guaranteed on here, guys? This is not an IUL. This is not a money guard product. This is not anything other than a single paid life insurance whole life through a mutual company. So you could put $100,000 in it. You can either get all your money back plus interest because you decided you didn't need it or want it, or you lived long enough and wanted to spend your money. You can need long-term care, and then you can access this multiple of your money immediately if you needed it, or you can die and all the money then goes to your spouse or to your kids. There are no holes in this program, guys. Can we do better? Yes, we can absolutely do better. Is this a great start to explain to clients how it works? Yes, absolutely. And that's how I position it. So there's so many opportunities out there for us to be talking to more people, but there are millions of people that have bought long-term care insurance policies. Share this article with them. Go on to the Washington Post, look on today's section, and look for the article that says long-term care costs, angers, and enrollees. Right? It's not just the federal government. It's all long-term care policies across the board. Okay? If you have any questions about this, we can talk about it. As soon as I get done with a call, I'll leave a couple moments open for Q&A. I'd love to hear about your input because I think everybody's muted right now. But, man, there isn't a single person out there, whether they have long-term care or not, that probably isn't interested in talking about it and hearing about an option where you're guaranteed to get all your money back. If you die, you get multiples of your money back. Or if you need long-term care, then you have this increased supplemental program in place to help pay for the long-term care. Oh, and by the way, it's an indemnity benefit, which means they just give you the cash. You don't have to get reimbursed. You don't have to prove expenses. They just give you the money. So it's not like a traditional long-term care program where it reimburses you for a daily benefit. You can double dip here, which I think is totally awesome. All right, so I'm not telling anybody to cancel or change any existing long-term care, but everybody needs a supplement. All right, simple enough, guys? Okay. Let's go to the next topic of conversation, which I had with another advisor, which I was just mentioning earlier, which is real estate in your IRA. Now let's take a look at a traditional piece of property, and I just happen to have one on here that's pretty simple, right? Let's say somebody has, and by the way, interest rates right now are about 3.5%. Let's say somebody was told, oh, you should buy real estate in your IRA because you're getting 8 to 10% interest on your investment property. And so that would basically mean that a $273,000 property is renting for about $2,500 a month, which I think in the real world is not unreasonable. But what do you guys lose when you do real estate in your IRA? What do you lose versus what do you gain, right? So the first thing is I want to look at what do you lose. Tax-wise, you lose something. We'll talk about what you gain also, but tax-wise, you lose something. What you lose is, and let's just go to, I don't know, married filing jointly couple who makes, I don't know, $150,000 or $160,000 a year. If you have real estate in your IRA, it means you are subject to the required minimum distribution. Two problems with that. The one thing is you've just turned an asset that could be or would be considered upon the sale of that asset a capital gains event into ordinary income tax. So for most people who know their marginal tax rates are going to be 25, 28, 33%. If they don't have a lot of money, maybe they're in their 15% bracket, but we're not talking necessarily about today. We're talking about in the future, what are their tax rates going to be when they're retired? Well, the capital gains right here, and this is just the tax table on the calculators you guys all have. For those of you guys who don't know this, if you're in the 35% tax bracket or below, which is almost everybody, capital gains tax rate is 15%. If you're in a 15% income tax bracket or low, do you guys know what the capital gains tax rate is? I was talking to a client the other day who had some stocks, I don't know, some company stock that they've been waiting to sell, and I was like, what are you waiting for? I mean, they've got gain and they're worried about the gain. I said, you're in a 15% tax bracket. You make less than $75,000 a year. You're retired. How long do you think the federal government is going to allow you to stay in a tax bracket of 0 when you sell a capital gain? There is no better time to sell something with a capital gain in it than right now. Whether in your 35% bracket or 15 or less, there's no better time. Capital gains taxes in the history of man have never been lower than they are right now. So we have a couple things going on here. When you put a piece of property in an IRA, you are then turning this potential capital gains tax into an ordinary income, which is completely ridiculous. The second part of it is this, guys. What deductions do you take in an IRA for real estate as an investment property when you put it in there? Guess what? It's 0. You don't take any deductions whatsoever. What deductions do you take when you have a piece of property in an IRA investment that's not, in a real estate investment that's not in an IRA? It's not in an IRA. Well, you get a choice here. You can take mortgage interest deductions. You can take depreciation. You can take all kinds of stuff. You can take repairs and investment money inside there. You can take management fees. You get all these different deductions because your real estate is outside of your IRA that you lose when that real estate goes inside your IRA. In addition to that, you have to pay somebody to manage it. Management fees are usually between 5 and 15% a month, depending upon who you're doing. And I guarantee that if you find a company that's selling you, hey, put real estate in your IRA, the reason why they're selling that to you is because they're also, in addition to the real estate management fee you're going to have to pay, they're also charging you a self-directed IRA fee. So what you're really doing is you're amassing fees. You're piling up fees and you're losing all of your tax deductions. So that is absolutely crazy. I don't know why anybody would do that. And then there's the biggest debacle of the whole thing, which is, and people haven't foreseen this, but how on earth do you take an RMD out of a piece of property? Remember, you can't manage it. Somebody else has to do this for you. Maybe you liquidate it. Maybe you send rents out to yourself. Maybe the market's not doing well and you have renters that aren't paying you, yet you still need to take RMDs. Everybody on this call knows that there is no worse penalty than failure to take RMDs. There is no worse penalty in the IRS tax code than 50% penalty for failure to take RMDs. So you are setting yourself up for a massive, massive nightmare if you are having your clients, or if you have a client that comes in saying, oh, I got an idea off of some website that said, do a self-directed IRA, let's outsmart everybody and do real estate. If you want to outsmart everybody and do real estate, guys, this is how you do it. You take the IRA and you invest it in one of our fixed indexed annuities. Okay? And you take that IRA and you allow the IRA to buy the property for you. So let's say the property, I don't know, let's say it costs $300,000 and you put a little bit of a down payment on there. Watch how great this is, because you're doing the exact same thing, but you're maintaining control of everything. $300,000 minus $14,000 a year. What did we just do here, guys? We just invested our $300,000 for 30 years. We're taking out our $14,000 a year. Our IRA is maintaining status quo. Right? Our IRA is not shrinking, it's not growing, it's maintaining status quo. But where do you think this money is going? This $14,000 a year that we're taking out of this is paying for this investment property. Like, it's so obvious to us, but for whatever reason our clients think they're trying to outsmart everybody. When you do it this way, guess what happens, guys? The tax deductions that you're getting for owning this real estate are allowing you to offset the offset the distributions from the IRA. When you have an investment property like this, are you still getting positive cash flow? Yes. We said you're getting $2,500 a month, so rather than you getting the whole $2,500 a month, you're getting half of that because this house is going to have a mortgage on it, right? So you have this $1,200 a month that you have to pay in mortgage. You have $1,200 a month that you're getting in rent. You're making your money, but you get a tax deduction here of $9,000 a year. So the distribution of this 14 is being offset, a huge portion of it by the 9 if you take the interest deduction, but more often than not, you'll take the depreciation. So you'll depreciate the value of this house each year, and that is approximately 5% of the $273. That amounts to about $13,650 worth of deductions. Well, gee, $13,650 worth of deductions is pretty darn close to $14,000, wouldn't you say? You get to keep your IRA. You get to keep the real estate. Now watch what happens to the real estate. Okay, I'm going to just shift the idea here, guys, and show you over that same 30-year period of time, the house appreciates. And let's say the house just appreciates at 3%. Okay, this house is appreciating at 3%. So at the end of 30 years, this house is worth $728,000. If you had that daggone house inside your IRA, how much tax would you have to pay on that $720,000? You would have to pay tax on the entire flipping thing at marginal tax rates, crazy people. And if you leave that IRA to your kids, they got to pay taxes on every single dollar on their marginal tax rates as if they earn this money on top of whatever they got when they inherited that money. But if you had this house outside your IRA, two things will happen. The first thing is you will sell it while you're alive, and you only have to pay capital gains tax, right? But guess what? Hopefully you never sell it. Hopefully you get to keep it for the rest of your life, because what do you get at the end of all things that you don't get with IRAs and you will get with real estate? What do you get at the end of your lifetime for your estate? You get the beautiful step up in cost basis, guys. If you want to talk about a missed opportunity, I would say to you, it could be malpractice for somebody to tell them to put real estate in an IRA, simply just for this one piece of information. You get a step up in cost basis. You avoid taxes on all of that gain if you leave that as an inheritance to somebody in your family. what do you by putting it in an IRA, you got to pay taxes on every single red nickel of that money, even if it's not gain. If your house earned nothing, your house didn't appreciate at all, and it stayed at $300,000. So I can't even do zero on my calculators. If your house only appreciated at 1% and it was only worth 300 or 400 when you died, and it's in the IRA, how much tax does your family have to pay on that money? Every single daggone dollar. It's the worst possible strategy I've ever seen in my life. Doing real estate in a self-directed IRA you couldn't do any worse. You're restricted on having mortgages. You can't do an equity line of credit. You can't take depreciation. You can't take deductions. You don't get appreciation. You don't get step-up in basis. You have to take RMDs. Come on, guys. This is such an incredible thing, and there are people that don't know this that are actually doing this because some guy wants to sell them a self-directed IRA with a fee attached to it, or a management company to manage their real estate, or whatever BS program that they have going on that's going to be absolutely ridiculous. They would have enough extra money if they kept their money outside of, or they kept their real estate outside. They could take their real estate income, they could buy life insurance with it, they could buy long-term care, they could really enhance the value of their estate. So, there's a number of different calculations, but I wanted you guys to see how the calculators can be used to verify all these things, so that when you show a client something, because I've navigated around in some very simple concepts, I've showed them their tax rates, I've gone over their mortgage tables with them, they think that I must know everything because I know this incredibly simple idea, which their other guy didn't take the time or didn't even know how to illustrate for them. We just showed it to them in a matter of just a few minutes. So hopefully, if you run across this, this will open up an opportunity for you. Hopefully, you can talk to your clients about long-term care. Hopefully, we're not counting on income riders and long-term care riders to fill that benefit. And hopefully, when your client dies, and it will happen, as it will happen with all of us, you won't have to wonder, did I or did I not do the right thing, or did I not sell them life insurance? Hopefully, when they die, the question will be, how much life insurance did I sell them, and where's the paperwork so I can get the death claim process for my client? So I actually got through this material way quicker than I thought I was going to, because I thought, it was really important. I want to share what's going on, in the everyday world that I'm living in, and what incredible opportunities. But I'm going to go out and I'm going to create a marketing program right now to target everybody so that they can do educational workshops at every organization that I'm involved in to show them how horrible these long-term care deals are and how horrible it is to invest in real estate in your IRA. And by the way, guys, I'm happy to go to real estate offices with this idea. You might say to me, well, if you don't buy real estate in your IRA, why would you want to talk to real estate agents, and what would they be educating your clients about? And I would say to you, I just showed you why somebody should have more real estate. I just showed you how real estate can be a strategy on how to get money out of your IRA without having to pay taxes. We just showed you a strategy so that somebody can start taking distributions of $14,000 a year out of their retirement account, buy real estate with it, get real estate appreciation, and get tax deductions. That's the best thing ever. Why on earth would somebody not do that? Unless they don't want to manage real estate anymore and deal with it, that's totally fine. And when you have clients that come in that are ready to divest of their real estate and they don't want to pay capital gains tax, you will be all lined up to take care of them that way as well. You'll do a bunch of business with them on the back end for exit strategies on the real estate. You can potentially use the care program. You'll sell more life insurance. You'll get the assets. I mean, this is a multi-tiered process that you're going to benefit from, and your clients are going to benefit from over the course of your entire career, because you'll get more and more sales as these things happen. You can partner up with real estate people to get referrals from them. You can partner up with mortgage people, because we don't want them paying for these houses with cash, right? That's the last thing in the world you want to do is pay for a house with cash. So you can get all these strategic relationships. Go out and do educational workshops for mortgage brokers and show them this idea. Get them off of the mindset of all these guys who are telling everybody to pay their house off early, and show them why they shouldn't pay it off. Go out and do educational workshops for real estate agents to show them how their clients can obtain more real estate using their IRAs without having to cash out any IRAs or own them within an IRA, without losing control, without losing capital gains tax treatment, and without losing the tax benefits of real estate ownership. Go talk to everybody about the horrible nature of the way that these long-term care policies were sold to people without anybody realizing that the premiums could go up basically at an undetermined rate and that they have no control. And you think my 67-year-old client is freaking out? Wait till she turns 87. And then she gets Alzheimer's, and she's paying $10 or $12 or $15 or $20,000 a year for her long-term care. And then you show her the fact that there's a 2/3 chance you're going to die within 1 year of going into a nursing home, and you just paid for your long-term care for 30 years. How do you feel about that? Let's stop these problems from happening, guys. Let's educate as many people as we can. I basically have covered everything that I want to cover. So if anybody has any questions, we can unmute, and I can try and answer those questions for people.
Perfect, Jonathan. I'll go ahead and unmute right now.
Okay.
The conference has been unmuted.
Hope everybody's doing well. Hope that these ideas were helpful, some things to talk to your clients about. Anybody have any questions? If, by the way, you're not talking, thank you for whoever muted. That would be great. You can mute your phones. If you have any questions, now is your shot. Well, I got a couple minutes. I'm happy to talk to you. Everybody's worried about long-term care, guys. Every old person either has it, thought about it, is worried about it. Nobody knows how to get it. Nobody knows how to maximize it. Nobody knows how to deal with it. It's a great opportunity. I think Social Security was the last great opportunity. I think long-term care will be the next great opportunity, and it's going to be sweeping the country, and you want to get on it now before everybody else starts getting the people and talking about it first.
John, I've got a question. On the single pay covenant 2, are the underwriting guidelines any different than if they were to do the multi-pay type of strategy, like MoneyGuard? Is that, a lighter type of qualification, or is it exactly the same?
It's going to be similar. Just remember, though, they're talking about net amount at risk here, so you're really underwriting for the difference between 100 and 230 in this example. So,
okay.
If you
net amount at risk total is like 250. Is that what it is?
Yeah, the net amount at risk here is only 130 because they're dropping in. There's no maximum. You can put $1 million in here if you want. Actually, I take that back. Maybe the maximum is $500,000. And they can have a net amount at risk of like $1 million. But I don't. A lot of times I sell this concept, as you know, Scott. I'll sell this concept, but I end up doing an annual pay policy because at the end of the day, really, the money should be invested in the annuity, and the interest off the annuity should buy the insurance. And that way, they get an increasing benefit over time, and that's typically how we end up doing it. But this is a great example. Nobody can poke any holes in this. You can't poke a hole in this saying, hey, that's not a good rate of return because your money's sitting in the bank doing nothing. You can't poke a hole in this saying, hey, long-term care costs money. This is a long-term care policy. It doesn't cost you a dime. You can't poke a hole in this saying, hey, what if I don't need it? Fine, then you can die and leave all the money to your family. That's the reason why I like using this.
Great. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Anybody else have any other questions? Any questions about the IRA?
Yeah.
Going once, going twice. All right. Well, I did it. I mean, this is only a 35-minute call, but I squeezed everything in there that I wanted to squeeze, partially because I talk so damn fast. If you guys want a copy of this article, the full article, I will go ahead and have Liz PDF it to you. But it's really good, and it talks about the actuarial underestimate that these companies did when they sold these policies, and it talks about right here the average increase in these long-term care premiums is going to be 83%, or over $1,200 a year. And most people had no idea. And these are associations, they're government employees, they're everybody. And it's going to be a massive upheaval of people saying, "Holy cow!" It's going to be a distrust of the insurance industry, folks. This is bad for us. So that's why we need to preempt it. And we need to get to people first because they're going to lose even more trust with insurance companies and all that kind of stuff. So We got to bring it to them. We can't wait for them to come to us and say, look how much I'm getting screwed here. All right, so go out and go talk to people and let them know what's going to happen before it happens, and you guys will be the hero. Dennis, I think that's good enough. If nobody else has any other questions.
Oh, you know what? I think I have one. I had Troy. I apologize. I'm going to unmute you here. We were getting a little feedback, but it looks like Troy has a question. I'm going to unmute him and see if we're good. Troy, are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Troy,
okay?
just turn your if you turn your phone down and ask your question.
I'm on the computer, but I'm chatting. So if you please.
Okay, yeah, I can't really hear you much. Yeah, sorry, Troy. If there's any way you can mute it and ask the question loud, otherwise I can't hear the question. I'm sorry about that.
Jonathan, I just muted him. He had dropped in, and Troy, I'll paraphrase, but he dropped into the chat box that he's run into some tax plans for people with 15% or less tax bracket, and the returns have all come back to him with capital gains. He agrees that the 0% should be in play, and then he asked you to give him a call at your convenience.
Okay. Yeah, that 0% should absolutely be in play. It's the way the tax code's written right now, and there's some people that don't realize that that's the rate that they should be paying, and it's an extra calculation you need to do on your 1040, and it's a real opportunity for us because a lot of I've got clients that have $2 million in retirement accounts, and they're in the 15% tax bracket because they're waiting. They're not taking any of their money out because they don't need it right now. They might have just retired and they're trying to live off bank accounts or whatever before they're forced to take RMDs. These guys should be Roth converting. They should be selling stocks. They should be doing all these other things. Every year that doesn't happen, you miss that boat, and you can never get that opportunity back. I don't want to be the one where somebody looks at one of my clients and says, why didn't Jonathan tell you to Roth convert? Why didn't Jonathan tell you to redeem shares at your low rate? I mean, that's the easiest thing ever to show somebody how to do.
Hey, Jonathan, I see one other question I'm sorry to interrupt you there. I see one other question that popped into the chat box, and it is, what percentage of the death benefit is available for LTC while living, if any?
Yeah, so if if you're not contracted right now with MTL, that's the company that I use mainly for these types of deals, and the guys that I'm doing joint casework with, I think you can see why I use them. But I believe it's 2 out of 5 ADLs, and I believe it's 92% of the death benefit that's available if you qualify. And it's a very liberal definition. It's probably the easiest way for a client to get money for long-term care, and it's not a reimbursement type deal. They just get the money, and they just have to, I think maybe 1 or 2 doctors sign off saying that they qualify for the ADLs. And even if they live abroad, I'm finding out that they can still qualify and get that money where not all long-term care policies will pay for them if they're in another country. So hopefully that answers that. Excellent. That sounds good, Dennis. Anything else popping up?
That is all, sir.
All right. Well, I am going to go out and make some more money, and hopefully you guys will too, and then we'll reconvene, and I'll reach out to you guys. You can reach out to us and Liz, and I'll put that article on our website. And good luck to everybody. Hope you're having fun doing the right thing and helping people out.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day.
Thanks, Dennis.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.